Very big piece of news this morning from the Nissan car company. A new £100 million investment in its Sunderland plant. Jobs there, and indeed jobs among suppliers, secured for at least 5 more years. But what happened to those fears that Nissan previously expressed about the impact of Britain leaving Europe, or indeed of the referendum on leaving Europe? Do they think it now doesn't matter so much? Paul Wilcox is chairman of Nissan Europe and is on the line. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Talk about the investment first of all. It is a big deal.
Yeah, we announced today £100 million of investment in our plant in the northeast in Sunderland, and that's to secure a future model, a Duke, to come to Sunderland. And the good news story, I guess, is that it secures not only the volume of production but also jobs in the northeast. We employ in Nissan and in suppliers around 34,000 people. And that secures it through to 2020.
Right, so it's not going to be, you're not going to be adding to those numbers, but those jobs are secure.
Yeah, I think the important point is Nissan in the northeast. The plant is I would say is a plant that produces around half a million cars a year. It's the biggest UK plant. It has been for the last 14 years. And it really drives efficiency, and it's a real positive sign for the UK that UK investment in the northeast continues with Nissan.
And what does it tell us then about Nissan's view of the referendum on Europe and of its potential result?
I think obviously Nissan is a global company, and we want to ensure that our business has the opportunity to operate as freely as possible in all markets around the world. And Europe is very important to Nissan. It's a growth region for Nissan. And coming back to our approach, well, obviously we have a very long-term commitment. We don't manage our business on short-term cycles. And our Sunderland plant, as I've already said, is I would argue is a beacon for global manufacturing excellence for Nissan.
Yeah, but that's exactly the point that Eurosceptic is going to make, isn't it? That actually it's really called your bluff in a way, because, or the bluff of what people at Nissan have previously said, because actually you're pretty confident that this can be an important plant for you into the longer term future, and you don't know what the result of the referendum is going to be, but either way the plant will be fine.
Well, I think, yes. I mean, in terms of the midterm, I think today's announcement shows that there is a commitment. It shows that through to 2020 we have made an investment.
Yeah, and it shows that it doesn't matter then whether we vote to stay in or to leave the European Union, because this plant, you've decided that this plant can be a success in either case, and that's quite important, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think Nissan has been pretty consistent in what it said. I mean, we will support all future policy decisions, enable us to continue to build on our success.
Yes, but in the past, you have the chief operating officer has said an outvote could lead to costly changes in. I'm looking at what he said. The costly changes in tariffs, duties, regulation, and taxes. The UK is part of the European Union. That's very important. And I suppose I'm just making the point that if you were that worried, you wouldn't have announced this investment.
I think if you look back in the last 3 or 4 years, the investments we've made are significant, and I don't think you can draw a line between what may have been said a few years ago to what we've delivered over the last obviously the last 3 or 4 years. We made a commitment in terms of bringing a new luxury car to the plant in Sunderland. We're bringing a new Infinity, which is a £250 million investment. We've just announced £100 million, and on top of that, a £37 million investment in terms of a new heavy press line in Sunderland. Now, the two things are not completely linked, because obviously we will judge and manage our business on the events that we understand.
But you're not going to reverse this. If we had the referendum and the result was no, it is a commitment.
Yeah, of course it is a commitment. Yeah, we make these long-term commitments. And we will judge the competitiveness. The most important thing, I think, we lose sight of the fact that we have a fantastic success story in the northeast. We build 500,000 cars a year. It is probably the most productive car plant in Western Europe, and I'd argue globally. And that's a great credit not only to Nissan in terms of investment, but also the workforce in the northeast. And I think if you understand what that means in terms of our competitiveness, our position in terms of competitiveness is driven by not only the situation in Europe in terms of whether we're in or out of the EU, but more importantly, the commitment of the people in the northeast, the supply chain we have in the UK. And I think the focus should be really in that area, because that is why we have such a great success story. Is the combined impact of our investment, but also supply chain and a great workforce.
Paul Wilcox, chairman of Nissan Europe. Thanks.
Thank you.